Hey scholars, welcome to today's lesson. We're working on lesson 3 part B, and our objective is focusing on determining the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text. So what does that actually mean? Basically, we will be looking at words and phrases and asking ourselves, what does that really mean? So let's review a few slides that we saw in the intro lesson from last class. So sometimes writers, and even as we're speaking, we use these words and phrases. Joe is a beast when he's hungry. Now, that doesn't literally mean that Joe transforms into a beast, but we understand that that just means, well, he's cranky when he's hungry. Let's look at another. All right, also, we have this sentence, this class is like a torture chamber. So we know that that's not literally true, right? The class is not literally having torture devices, but we already understand that that kind of means this class is really boring. So the pattern that we're noticing is that these phrases and these words, they say something in a more creative way that expresses the feeling of the sentence. So what it says here is not actually what it means, but we can understand it means something else. So how might this skill, right, looking at words but that actually means something else, how might this look in an academic text? Let's take a look and practice. So I'm going to have you read the next slide. It's 2 little paragraphs. It will pause and then click continue when you finish reading. So there was a lot of information in these 2 little paragraphs. Before we go into all of what it's talking about and farms and family farms, let's focus on this phrase that is bolded, underlined right here, faded into the background. What does that mean if something is faded into the background? What does that mean? Maybe think of the word faded. Think of the word background. What might that mean? Okay, let's talk about what this phrase means. Faded into the background. I like to kind of think of some pictures that come to mind. Helps me explain or understand what that phrase might mean. Here we have Mr. Simpson literally like taking steps back to the background to be covered by something. So seems unimportant. He wants to be hidden. This is a really great example. Portrait mode, if you've ever used portrait mode on your camera, that makes the background fuzzy. So it's faded. It's not important. That's not the focus. Something else is the focus, right? It's faded into the background, not important. Similar thing happening here. We have 2 people taking a picture. There's lots of stuff in the background, but it's kind of fuzzy, faded, unclear. It's far away, so it's not the focus, right? That's the focus of this photo. So fuzzy, unclear, not the focus, probably not as important. So the clues that I kind of put together, first just focusing on that phrase, faded into the background. If I literally explain what that means or what's going on with that, well, if something's in the background, it's kind of far away, it's not really the focus of the picture, focus of what's going on. And if it's faded, it's blurry, it's less clear, it's harder to see. All right, so those are kind of some ideas, feelings, explanations to help me understand this phrase by itself. Now let's think about, well, how it's used in this sentence. What might it mean? So let me read that last paragraph for us. But as the nation continued to grow, these small, family-owned farms could not keep up. Their production was green and sustainable, but not fast enough for this country's high demand for meat. And so, as the new form of factory farming was created, the traditional small family farm faded into the background. So now what we're going to have to do is use clues from we looked at and we talked about what this might mean by itself. Now, what might it mean based on the way it's used in this little paragraph? So let's kind of make sure that we understand what's happening here, what's happening in this paragraph. So what faded into the background? Small family farms. Okay, what does that mean? Well, what's happening with these farms? Let me figure that out first. The nation continued to grow, and then these family farms, they could not keep up. Okay. They were not producing fast enough to meet the high demand. And then there's this new form of farming that's come around, and then all of a sudden, small family farms are fading into the background. So what might that mean based on the last slide we talked about and based on these clues in our understanding of what's happening in this paragraph? Okay, so that multiple choice question you just answered, let's talk about it right now and why that was the best choice and why that made sense. So we already talked about faded into the background. What does that mean? Right, something's in the background, then it's far away, it's not really the focus, and if it's blurry, it's less clear, it's harder to see, so it's probably not important. And then, using the clues from this paragraph and from what we read, we know that this way of farming is losing importance, right? They just can't keep up. They can't meet the demands, and there's this new form of farming that's kind of taking over. So people don't really think or care about small family farms anymore. So I would say the best multiple choice option would be that losing its importance in people's minds. Small factory farms are losing importance in people's minds. They're fading into the background, which connects, right? Fading into the background. It's fuzzy. We don't think about it as much. It's not the focus. So by looking at the phrase by itself, kind of trying to figure out what it means, that helps us understand what it means in the paragraph or in the sentence. Go ahead and answer this self-reflection question based on that practice example we just did. All right, let's practice again with another example. I'll read this paragraph this time. Factory farming prioritizes the mass production of farm animals by cramming lots of animals in small spaces. They also feed the animals unhealthy foods with lots of hormones so they will grow faster, allowing the factory to sell them more quickly. Industrial farming or factory farming cuts corners to make quick money despite the harm to the animals and the harm to the people eating this unhealthy food as well. So I'll read it one more time real quick. Factory farming prioritizes, or their main goal, right, is the mass production of farm animals by cramming lots of animals in small spaces. They also feed the animals unhealthy foods with lots of hormones so they will grow faster, allowing the factory to sell them more quickly. Industrial farming or factory farming cuts corners to make quick money despite the harm to the animals and the harm to people eating this unhealthy food as well. So again, lots of information here, but let's just take a look at this phrase by itself, cut corners. What does that mean? What does it mean if someone cuts corners? What does that mean? So when I'm trying to think of what something means, I'm a visual learner. I like to imagine in my head, here's someone actually cutting a corner. This is what we should be doing, walking on this nice path here. But this person, and it looks like lots of other people, have cut the corner, literally taken a shortcut, something that's quicker, easier, faster, but it's kind of harmful. Look at all the grass that is dead now. So cutting corners means that people are taking the easy option, they're doing something faster or in a way that's kind of lazier. So now, right, that we understand that is what cutting corners means, what does it mean in this sentence as it's used in this little paragraph here? So gather some clues. We know the literal, like what that means. Now, what other clues can you find in the paragraph? And then what does cutting corners mean in this paragraph? All right, so again, if we talk about what this phrase means by itself, and we can understand, okay, taking the easy option, doing something faster or lazier, this is giving us clues to what it means within the paragraph. But we also have to use clues from the paragraph itself. I know that they're not taking care of the animals, right? They're putting them together in small spaces, and they're feeding them bad foods. So they're doing something that's kind of faster just so they can grow faster and then they can make more money off the animals. It takes a lot of work to take care of animals and it's a lot of hard work, but they don't do that. They just cut corners, take the shortcut. So we know that in this paragraph, cutting corners means doing something in an easier or lazier way to save money or time. So how did you feel with that practice example? Made sense or not so much? Go ahead and give yourself a reflection based on how you felt with that practice example. Nice job today, scholars. So again, we're practicing the same skill. We know that words can mean something different than their exact definition or their literal definition. All right, we know that the farms didn't literally fade into the background. They're not harder to see. They're just not important. We know that these people that work at the factory farms, they're not literally walking in circles in the building, cutting corners, but they're taking shortcuts. They're doing something lazier way. So it means something different than the exact literal definition, but we're using clues to figure out what that is. So how did you feel practicing this skill today? Kind of a review of the skill, but we made it more difficult by looking at it with academic texts. So not circling, but answer the multiple choice. How did you feel? And then you'll continue to do the mastery check on Schoology.